Chapter 16. Tom and Sam. The conversation with Mr. Jones ended the way so many painful conversations do, with silence that carried more weight than words. Mr. Jones remained standing in the doorway, his weathered face etched with the burden of memories he had spent decades trying to bury. The evening breeze stirred the gray strands of his hair, but he barely noticed. His tired eyes never left Andre. Finally, Mr. Jones spoke, his voice quiet but firm enough to stop Andre before he reached his car.
Don't ruin your life over the two still alive.
Andre stopped walking. Without turning around, he lowered his head slightly, allowing the warning to settle inside him. Mr. Jones stepped off the porch and continued, his voice carrying the hard-earned wisdom of a man who had spent an entire lifetime wrestling with regret.
I've carried this burden for a long time, so don't let it become yours.
Andre slowly turned to face him. There wasn't anger in his eyes anymore. There wasn't even hatred. There was something heavier. Resolve. He met Mr. Jones's gaze without blinking.
Vengeance isn't mine.
He paused just long enough for the words to settle between them.
It's the Lord's.
For the first time since Andre had arrived, Mr. Jones allowed himself the smallest breath of relief. He gave a slow nod. Neither man said another word. Some conversations don't end with answers. They simply end because there's nothing left to say. Andre climbed into his car, closed the doors softly behind him, and started the engine. The tires rolled down the gravel driveway as Mr. Jones stood motionless beneath the fading afternoon sky, watching until the taillights disappeared around the bend. The drive to Tom Parker's house was longer than Andre remembered, or maybe it only felt that way. The road wound through familiar farmland where towering oaks leaned over narrow stretches of pavement, their branches reaching toward one another like old friends exchanging forgotten stories. The late afternoon sun filtered through the leaves, scattering ribbons of golden light across the windshield. Andre barely noticed. One hand rested on the steering wheel. The other remained tightly curled into a fist on his lap. The silence inside the car pressed against him. There was no radio, just the steady hum of the engine and the rhythm of the tires rolling over uneven pavement. Mr. Jones's warning replayed again, over and over.
Don't ruin your life.
Andre exhaled slowly. He wasn't driving toward revenge. At least that wasn't what he wanted to believe. What filled his chest felt different. It was the weight of unanswered questions. The kind that refuses to disappear. The kind that follows a family from one generation to the next until someone finally has the courage to ask them out loud. Outside the window, fields stretched toward the horizon. He remembered running through those same fields as a boy. Fireflies. Cornrows. Summer evenings that seemed as though they'd never end. Now the fields stood empty beneath the setting sun, their quiet loneliness mirroring the ache inside him. The sky slowly changed from brilliant gold to deep shades of orange and crimson. Daylight was surrendering. Andre wondered if the truth was finally about to do the same. The pavement eventually gave way to gravel. Crunch. 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 Each turn of the tires sounded louder than the last. Then he saw it. First, the weathered roof. Then the sagging front porch. Then the old rocking chair. Finally, the man sitting in it. Tom Parker. He rocked gently, completely unaware that the past had just driven into his yard. Andre eased the car to a stop, but didn't get out immediately. His hands remained on the steering wheel. He stared through the windshield, allowing himself one final moment to breathe. How do you confront the man who helped murder your father? What words could possibly be enough? There weren't any. So Andre opened the door. The old hinges groaned as he stepped onto the gravel. Tom Parker finally looked up. Even from a distance, age had taken its toll. His shoulders had collapsed inward. His once powerful frame had grown thin beneath faded blue overalls and a worn red plaid shirt. Deep wrinkles crossed his face like cracks in dry earth. Thick bifocals rested on the bridge of his nose, and even with them, he struggled to focus on the young man walking toward him. Still rocking gently, Tom shaded his eyes with one hand.
Can I help you?
Andre stopped beside the truck and called back toward the porch.
Yes, sir.
He took another step forward.
I'm looking for Mr. Tom Parker.
Tom squinted harder.
I'm he.
Andre nodded once. Then he began climbing the porch steps. He landed each footstep slower and slower, on purpose. Thump. Another step. Thump. And then another thump. The old wooden boards groaned beneath his weight. Tom's expression slowly changed. First, curiosity, then confusion, then something else. His eyes widened behind the thick lenses. The color drained from his weathered face. His rocking chair slowed. His breathing caught in his throat. He wasn't looking at a stranger anymore. For one impossible, terrifying moment, he believed he was looking at the man they had killed all those years ago. Andre looked so much like his father at that age that time itself seemed to collapse. Memories Tom had spent decades burying came rushing back without permission. The fear, the violence, the gunfire, the blood, the silence afterward. Andre said nothing. He simply stood there. Sometimes silence forces a confession before words ever can. Tom's hands began trembling against the worn wooden arms of the rocking chair. His mouth opened slightly, but no sound came out. Andre could see it happening. Recognition, guilt, terror. Every emotion played across the old man's face before either of them spoke another word. Finally, Andre broke the silence. His voice remained calm, measured, steady. There was no shouting, no threats, only truth.
My name is Andre Maxwell.
Tom's eyes grew even wider. Andre held his gaze.
And I know the truth.
He allowed the words to linger. Every second seemed to stretch. The evening breeze stopped. Even the birds had gone quiet. Andre never looked away.
I know the truth about how you and the others killed my father.
The rocking chair never moved again. The transformation was immediate. The color drained from Tom Parker's face. His body stiffened against the worn wooden rocking chair, his lips parting ever so slightly as his trembling fingers gripped the armrests. His breathing grew shallow, and for several long seconds he simply stared. Not at a stranger, at the past. Andre watched every emotion wash across the old man's weathered face. Shock, recognition, and regret. Then came the one emotion Tom could no longer hide. Fear. Not fear of Andre. Fear that the truth he had spent decades burying had finally found him. Andre remained perfectly still. He didn't move closer. And he didn't raise his voice. He simply allowed the silence to settle between them, giving Tom nowhere to run except into his own memories. Finally, Andre spoke. His voice was calm, almost gentle.
I just wanted you to know.
He paused.
I know what you did.
Nothing more needed to be said. Andre turned and slowly walked toward the porch steps. Each step caused the old boards beneath his feet to groan softly before giving way to the gravel path below. The evening had settled into shades of amber and rust, and the chorus of cicadas had begun filling the countryside as daylight quietly surrendered to dusk. Andre had taken only a few more steps when a sudden sound shattered the silence. A sharp, strained gasp. He froze. Another ragged grunt followed. Andre spun around. Tom Parker's rocking chair had stopped moving. The old man sat slumped awkwardly to one side. One trembling hand clutched tightly at his chest, while the other squeezed the armrest so hard his knuckles had turned white. His breathing came in painful, uneven bursts. Sweat gathered across his forehead. His face had become ghostly pale. Their eyes met. There was no anger there, no hatred, not even fear anymore. Only surrender. Tom struggled to pull enough air into his lungs. His chest rose, then fell. He swallowed hard before forcing out words that sounded as though each one carried the weight of an entire lifetime.
Sam.
His eyes closed for a moment, then opened again.
Sam shot him.
He fought for another breath.
Because he wouldn't give him any of his grape suckers.
The confession lingered in the evening air. Andre stood frozen. After all these years. Those were the words that finally unlocked the truth. Then Tom's head drifted backward against the chair. His breathing became even more strained. Instinct took over. Andre sprinted back onto the porch, throwing open the screen door so hard it slammed against the frame behind him. The house carried the familiar scent of aged cedar, old tobacco, and years of quiet living. The wooden floor creaked beneath his hurried footsteps as he searched the front room. There. A black rotary telephone rested on a small table beside the hallway. Andre snatched up the receiver. His hands trembled as he spun the dial. The clicks of the rotary wheel seemed painfully slow. When the operator answered, he spoke without hesitation.
I have an emergency.
He swallowed.
An elderly man is having a heart attack.
His voice tightened.
Please, send an ambulance.
Questions came one after another. The address. His name. Tom's condition. Andre answered as quickly as he could, barely waiting for each question to finish before giving another reply. Every passing second felt impossibly long. The moment he hung up, he rushed into the bathroom. He grabbed the first hand towel he could find and soaked it beneath cold running water. Then he hurried back outside. Tom Parker had barely moved. His breathing was shallow. His shirt clung to him with sweat. Andre knelt beside him and gently folded the cool towel across his forehead. He rested one steady hand on Tom's shoulder. For a brief moment, Andre couldn't help thinking how strange life could be. This was the man who had helped steal his father from him. And yet, here he was, doing everything he could to save him.
Help's on the way.
Tom's eyes fluttered open only slightly. Andre glanced toward the empty road. Nothing. Only silence. Minutes crawled by. The daylight disappeared completely, leaving only porch lights and distant stars to push back the darkness. The chirping of crickets grew louder. The waiting became almost unbearable. 27 long minutes passed, with Andre remaining beside Tom Parker, speaking only occasionally, checking his breathing, and watching the road every few seconds, silently willing the ambulance to appear. Then, at last, red lights flashed through the darkness. The distant wail of a siren echoed across the fields before the ambulance turned into the driveway, its emergency lights washing over the old farmhouse in waves of crimson and white. Andre slowly stood as the paramedics rushed past him with their equipment. When he stepped back and allowed them to take over, Andre quietly walked away. As he left Tom Parker's house, the night felt different, heavier, charged with the weight of a truth that could never be buried again. As he drove back toward Mr. Jones's house, his hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles had turned pale. The familiar road felt strangely different now, as though every mile carried him deeper into a story that had been waiting decades to be finished. By the time he pulled into the driveway, Mr. Jones was already standing in the doorway. He looked as though he'd been expecting him. The calm expression Andre had seen earlier was gone. In its place was a quiet uneasiness, the kind a man wears when he knows something life-changing is about to happen. Andre stepped out of the car and walked straight toward the porch. He didn't waste a second.
I went to see Tom Parker. A few minutes after I got there, he suffered a heart attack. I never laid a hand on him. I only wanted him to know that I knew the truth. That was the only reason I went.
Mr. Jones listened without interrupting. Andre continued.
I need you to do me a favor. I need you to call Sam. Tell him to meet you at the store, since it's halfway between your house and his. And tell him it's about Tom Parker.
Mr. Jones lowered his eyes for a moment. The request weighed heavily on him. When he finally looked back up, his voice came slowly, as though each word deserved careful thought.
Okay, I'll call him.
He hesitated. Then he added something Andre hadn't expected.
But there's something you need to know.
Andre waited. Mr. Jones drew a slow breath.
Sam doesn't go anywhere without his gun.
The words settled between them like a warning neither man could ignore. Andre said nothing. He simply let the silence absorb the weight of what Mr. Jones had just told him. Finally, he gave a slow nod.
That's good to know.
He took one step closer.
Well, when you get to the store, I need you to do me one more favor.
Mr. Jones raised an eyebrow.
Leave the back door unlocked.